Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the Eurail pass. So I did a poll on my Instagram and 58% of people said that they wanted to see how to use the Eurail pass. So I'm just going to kind of go over how to fill it out, how to get one, and then just kind of like the process of going to the train station and actually using it. But to start off, this is what the Eurail pass looks like. You go on Eurail.com and that's where you get the Eurail pass. You actually have to purchase the pass ahead of time so that they can send it to you in the mail. When I got my Eurail pass, I was actually a student, so my rate was cheaper. And then when you open it up, mine is like destroyed kind of because I had it on me for 2 months, but basically this is your Eurail ticket and it's attached to your booklet with a staple. And basically if this detaches from your booklet, then your Eurail pass is invalid actually. So you want to make sure that you take care of this document really carefully, because if this little part detaches from the booklet, then basically you just wasted hundreds of dollars. So you want to make sure that you take care of it. When you go to purchase the ticket online, you can actually activate it when you go to purchase the ticket online. So that's a lot easier than activating the ticket when you get to the train station. So that's just like one less step. So you'll know if it's activated because it'll say right here, pass activated. So then you'll know that your pass will be activated for the time that you bought the ticket for. And it just detached. Here is where it'll tell you when your pass is valid for. So for me, it was June 17th, 2019 through August 16th, 2019. And mine was a continuous pass. So that meant that I could literally hop onto any train for the most part and on any day and be able to use the pass. Now there are restrictions. So for some of the trains, you actually have to reserve your ticket ahead of time. So on Eurail.com, there's this little portal that you have to go into before your trip. I would say to do it 2 months before your trip, and you basically have to reserve some of your spots on the trains, depending on if it's a regional train, if it's like a high-speed train, different things like that. Sometimes you have to reserve your spot, and it usually costs a couple of extra euros. And then once you're done doing that, they send you the ticket reservations in the mail. So I'll show you what that looks like. So this is a ticket reservation from Praha to Linz. And as you can see down here, I paid 4 euros. So to reserve my seat on this train, it'll tell you where you're departing from, where you're arriving, the date of departure, the arrival time, and then what class you're in. And then it's gonna tell you here, this is the important part, is what train you're on, the coach number, so that's basically what cabin you're in on the train, and then it's going to tell you your seat number. So this is an important document that you want to keep on you because it basically gives you all the information that you need on how to find your train. There are some trains in Europe that do not accept the Eurail pass. So when I was in Portugal, I actually had to purchase all of my train tickets actually because they didn't do the Eurail pass with the one that I got. So this is an example of like, I had to buy this when I got to the train station. It was 5 euros. But anyway, you have to look into it ahead of time just to make sure what trains you can take and which ones you can't with the Eurail pass. As far as the process of going through the train station, it can be a little bit confusing just because all the train stations are different in their own way, and it can be tricky to navigate, especially if you're not used to taking public transportation. The first thing that you want to look for when you get to the train station is you want to look for the big digital board that tells you when the trains are coming into the train station. When I look on the digital board, I want to look for Linz, HBF, and I want to make sure that it's my train, so 1543. And then from there, that's going to tell me which track the train is coming in on. But when I was going to Zurich, my train was coming in on train track number 3. So I actually had to walk through the little tunnel, go underneath the train tracks, and walk up to level 3. Track number 3. Sometimes your train will actually switch tracks, and in that case, they'll usually make an announcement over the loudspeaker, and it will change on the digital board and let you know the new track number that your train is coming in on. So that was actually the case with this train. I was originally on track 3, and then like literally 5 minutes before the train was arriving, they switched the track to track number 6. So I had to run from track 3 to track 6, and I literally had like maybe 2 minutes to spare to get onto the train. They can do that, and you really just have to pay attention to make sure that you don't miss your train, especially if they're making the announcements with a heavy accent. Normally they'll make the announcement in their native language, and then sometimes they'll do like English right afterwards, but it can be really hard to understand sometimes. So always look at the digital boards and make sure that you are at the right place at the right time. When you're getting onto the train, don't be so focused on finding your coach number. The most important thing is getting onto the train, because they will leave without you, and the trains are so long that it can be hard to find your cabin number just from like being outside the train. So as long as you get onto the train, you can kind of go through the cabins and find where you're supposed to be. Cabin number 367 was the cabin that I was in, and it'll say that at the beginning and the end of every cabin, what cabin number it is. So you get to your cabin, and then you find your seat number. And if somebody is sitting in your seat, which happened to me a couple of times, don't be scared to tell them to get up and move, because when the ticket collector comes through and they look at your ticket, and if you're not sitting in the right seat or you're in the wrong place, legally they have every right to kick you off the train at the next stop, and they will do that. So you want to make sure that you're sitting in the right seat, and don't be scared to tell people to like move, but like in a polite manner. I think that you're in my seat unless I'm in the wrong area. It's okay. After you get into your seat, your ticket collector is going to come eventually. And what you want to do is you want to actually fill out your Eurail pass ahead of time. Actually, do this before you get on the train. So on the Eurail pass, you have to use a pen and fill in where you're coming from, so where you started, where you're going to, the date, the time, and then you're gonna check off if it's a train or a bus or whatever. So this is what mine looked like. These were all the trains that I took when I was on my trip. And if you're transferring trains to get from one destination to the other, then you have to write that in here. So for example, I went from the Netherlands to Prague, and in between there I had to stop in Berlin to get off the train and get on a different train. So on my Eurail pass, I had to write Amsterdam to Berlin, and then I had to write from Berlin to Prague, because those were two separate trains. So when the ticket collector comes, you have to give them your Eurail pass, right? This thing is attached to it. They're gonna look at this and they're gonna stamp it. And then They're gonna ask for your passport. I had my passport, so I gave them my passport and they just kind of check the names. And then if you have a reserved seat, then you have to show them that that was the seat that you were in for the reserved seat. And then you're all set. And then you just have to kind of wait until you get to your stop. So most of the trains will have some type of digital board, or they will announce the stops that they're coming to next. So that's a good way for you to kind of know when you need to get off of the train and what stop they're about to come to. Yeah, that's basically everything that you need to know about using a Eurail pass. It's kind of just a learning process when you get there. I definitely would say to arrive to the train stations early, just so that if you're confused on where you need to go, you can find somebody to help you. So those are all the things that I have on the Eurail pass. I hope that that was helpful. If you are looking into getting a Eurail pass traveling Europe by train, if you're confused or anything, you can always just send me a message or leave a comment in the video and I can try to help you out as best as I can. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I haven't really made any videos in like 5 months, and that's just because I've been kind of lazy, to be honest, but I'm really excited to kind of get back into it and start making more travel related videos. And now that the weather is getting better, it's a lot nicer to film. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my video, because that lets me know that people are finding these things helpful, and people, if you're somebody that likes to travel or wants travel tips and things like that, then definitely subscribe and hit the bell notification, and then you'll get notified every time that I post a video. So yeah, hopefully I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!